The atmosphere in the busy fast food restaurant was frenzied and bustling. The workers were constantly in motion, taking orders, preparing food, and rushing back and forth to deliver meals to the hungry customers. Despite the chaos, the restaurant was well organized and efficient, with a system in place to ensure that orders were processed quickly and accurately. This particular branch of the restaurant chain was known throughout the city as one of the best. It consistently received high ratings and glowing reviews from customers who pressed the quality of the food, the speed of the service, and the cleanliness of the establishment. It was a point of pride for the company and brought in a significant portion of its revenue. As Tyler got ready for work that Tuesday morning, he felt a sense of excitement and nervousness in equal measure. He had been promoted to the manager position at the restaurant just 2 weeks ago, and he was eager to prove himself to his boss and the rest of the staff. Tyler had worked at the restaurant for over a year, starting out as a regular worker taking orders and performing on their tasks. During that time, he had received the coveted Best Worker of the Month award 4 times, a testament to his dedication to the job. Tyler constantly pushed his staff to work faster and more efficiently. He would challenge himself to beat his own record for the most orders served in a day, and if he didn't succeed, he wouldn't be satisfied, but he often placed a number of orders above the quality of service. Tyler arrived at the restaurant early, eager to get started on the day's work. As soon as he entered the kitchen, he could see that his staff was already hard at work preparing food and taking orders. "Let's pick up the base team. We can do even better than this," Tyler exclaimed. When he glanced at the number of orders processed so far, he knew they could exceed their goals for the day if they pushed themselves a little harder. Turning to Janet, one of the newer workers, Tyler said, "If you hustle a bit faster, Janet, we might earn a few more bucks today, and who knows, you might even shed a couple of pounds." Despite Tyler's enthusiasm and drive to succeed, not all of the staff at the restaurant appreciated his management style. In fact, many of them were growing increasingly frustrated with this constant need to push them to work harder and faster without regard for the toll it was taking on their well-being. What bothered them the most was Tyler's tendency to make thoughtless remarks without considering the consequences. He would often make jokes at the expense of his staff, particularly Janet, the newest and youngest member of the team. Tyler's comments about Janet's weight were hurtful and insensitive, and they made everyone uncomfortable. The staff knew that Tyler meant well, but they also knew that his comments were a symptom of a larger problem, his desire to be the best no matter the cost. Tyler's relentless pursuit of success was admirable, but it was also driving a wedge between him and his staff. As the weeks went on, tensions began to rise between Tyler and the staff. They began to resent his constant micromanaging and his lack of empathy for their needs. They tried to speak to him about their concerns, but Tyler was too focused on achieving his own goals to listen. Ultimately, Tyler's unchecked ambition and thoughtlessness would have serious consequences for the restaurant. One small mistake would bring it all down, and Tyler would learn the hard way that true success requires more than just hard work and determination. The lines of people waiting to get their orders stretched out the door, a testament to the popularity of the restaurant. Many customers were regulars who knew exactly what they wanted and placed their orders quickly. Others were first-time visitors scanning the menu board with wide-eyed wonder as they tried to decide what to order. Although Sonia didn't dine out frequently, it wasn't because she didn't enjoy it but rather due to her past experiences that were less than pleasant. However, fate had other plans for her. On this particular day, she found herself in a situation where she had to wait in line. At a restaurant, while waiting for her son to arrive, who had recommended the place as she was feeling famished, she decided to give the restaurant a chance and started studying the menu board meticulously, weighing her options before finally making up her mind on what to order. She typed out what she wanted to order and waited. There were already just a couple of people waiting in front of her. When they were done, she was greeted with a warm smile from a girl with a name tag, Janet. "Good morning, ma'am. What can I get you today?" she asked Sonia with a smile on her face. Sonia presented her phone screen to Janet, who gazed at it with confusion before returning a perplexed smile upon further examination. Sonia realized that her phone screen had been locked and was displaying a screensaver image of her silly-looking dog. She chuckled, unlocked the phone, and displayed a note with text on it. As Janet read the message, she swiftly realized that Sonia was hearing impaired. "Okay, I understand." "Sure thing, ma'am." Janet responded before inquiring, "Would you like any lettuce on your burger?" Sonia is typing on her phone. Janet patiently waited for her order. However, the customers waiting behind her grew increasingly restless. Tyler, who had a habit of keeping his ear to the ground in the restaurant, noticed that Janet was holding up the line as he passed by the cashier's post. "Janet, what's happening?" Tyler inquired. Whispering into her ear, Janet smiled reassuringly at Sonia before signaling for Tyler to approach. She's deaf." Tyler communicated her order through a note. "I asked if she wanted lettuce on her burger, and she's probably typing a response." Now Janet explained in a hushed tone as Tyler scanned the growing line of impatient customers behind Sonia. His frustration began to mount. "Excuse me, ma'am." Tyler snapped his fingers. Tanya interrupted her as she typed her order. However, Sonia remained engrossed in her task and didn't acknowledge. His frustrated Tyler raised his voice, shouting, "Hello, excuse me, ma'am." Finally, Sonia looked up and noticed Tyler speaking slowly but loudly enough for her to hear Tyler say, "Do you see all the people waiting behind you? You're holding up the line." Sonia then presented her notes, which contained inquiries about the items she was ordering. Tyler didn't bother to read them as he was growing increasingly angry at the delay. He calculated that he could have served at least 3 other customers in the time it took to serve. "Sonia, you need to bring someone with you who can speak. I can't take your order from your phone notes, we never do that," Tyler declared firmly. "Could you please step aside? We have other customers waiting." Sonia was taken aback by Tyler's words. To her surprise, no one spoke up in her defense. The other customer stood there silently watching the exchange. Some even glared at her with undisguised annoyance and resigned. Sonia stepped aside and took the time to carefully compose a clear and concise message in her notes. Once it was her turn again, she approached the cashier, only for Tyler to quickly position himself beside Janet and say, "I told you already, ma'am, I'm not taking your order. Is that clear?" Sonia was crestfallen. She gestured in confusion and despair, wondering why she was being treated so unfairly. She quickly typed a response on her phone and showed it to Tyler, hoping to clarify her situation. "I don't have any further questions. Please read my note and take my order." Her message read. However, Tyler ignored her and turned to the next person in line, asking if they were ready to place her order. A man in the line spoke up, saying to Tyler, "Don't you think you should help her out?" Tyler responded confidently, "I'm sorry, but we can't take orders through written notes because of our policies. We can take orders verbally," feeling like he was in charge. Tyler wasn't sure if there was an actual policy regarding written orders. He was just angry at Sonia's previous note where he thought she sounded rude, while Sonia was growing increasingly frustrated and couldn't comprehend why she was being denied service simply because of her deafness. She typed out her message on her phone. Her hands shaking nervously, the person waiting behind her refused to place his order until she had been served. "I think I'll wait until you finish taking her order," the man declared, smiling as a gesture towards Sonia. "Of course, sir, no problem." Tyler responded, turning his attention to the couple standing behind him. "You can go ahead and place your order now," he said, confused by the situation. Sonia and the man waiting behind her ultimately decided to go ahead and make their orders once she had finished typing her message. Sonia returned to Tyler and showed him her nose once again. The message read, "It is not acceptable to deny service simply because I'm deaf. I do not believe your company has any policies or rules prohibiting you from serving individuals who cannot verbally express themselves. I am considering lodging and complaining with your office." If you could please take my order, we can forget about everything else. I am simply hungry and do not wish to argue with you at that moment. Sonia attempted to use her voice and gestures to communicate her message to Tyler, but he remained steadfast in his position. He read her note and continued to insist on the restaurant's verbal ordering policy. Tyler grabbed the pen and paper and scribbled a message, which he handed to Sonia as she read the message. Her expression shifted from frustration to disbelief. If you continue to persist, we will have to involve the police. The note read, overwhelmed with anxiety. Sonia began nervously biting her nails and pacing around the restaurant. She quickly composed another message on her phone and tried to show it to the restaurant staff, but they ignored her as though she were invisible. Everyone in the restaurant had been instructed to completely ignore her. She was filled with frustration and began to cry. She couldn't understand why no one around her was speaking up or trying to help. Perhaps they didn't comprehend the situation, or maybe they were intimidated by her attempts to communicate through speech and gestures. Sonia wasn't sure she was overcome with emotion. Sonia expressed her frustration to the restaurant staff through her tears, hoping that someone would understand her plight. Unfortunately, they didn't comprehend her message and instead signed back mockingly and laughed with tears streaming down her face. Sonia left a restaurant and waited outside for her son. As she sat there feeling hungry and alone, she reflected on the struggles she had faced throughout her life as a person with hearing impairment. Sonia was raised in a family with 3 children, where her 2 younger sisters often made fun of her at school. She was relentlessly bullied and called dumb due to her speech impediment. Once during lunchtime, someone stole her backpack and emptied its contents into a toilet. Among the items inside were batteries for the implants used to assist her hearing, fearful that her implant might die and she wouldn't be able to find replacement batteries. Sonia rushed home and locked herself in a room. Throughout her life, Sonia had experienced countless instances of people mocking her hearing impairment, though she was hurt by their callous behavior. She recognized that most of them didn't intend to hurt her. Her mother had always advised her to focus on the choices she had and to ignore the things that might offend her. It was difficult, but it was possible. However, when there were no choices and people made her hearing impairment an insurmountable obstacle, such as in the restaurant, Sonia couldn't help but feel hopeless and powerless after an agonizing 40-minute wait. Sonia's son, Jeff, finally arrived. He pulled up in his car and scanned the outdoor tables until he spotted his mother sitting at one of them. He made his way over to her. Jeff greeted her with a kiss, and Sonia signed to ask about his day and how the surgery went. It was a tough one. Jeff replied to the patient, the truck driver barely escaped death. I can't imagine what his family is going through right now. Sonia inquired about the patient's condition, to which Jeff replied that he would recover with time and patience. As a trauma surgeon at one of the biggest hospitals in the state, Jeff often had to perform multiple surgeries in a day. While he loved his job, he sometimes became overly concerned about his patients. Discussing them with his mother helped him cope with the stress. At 35 years old, Jeff was still single and not considering starting a family anytime soon. Sonia never pushed him to marry, understanding that he was focused on his career at the moment. From the moment Jeff was born, Sonia had hoped that he would grow up to be kind and compassionate as someone who was deaf. Sonia understood the importance of kindness and empathy. Perhaps that was one of the reasons why Jeff decided to become a doctor. He often joked that he became a surgeon because it was his mother's wish. Jeff had just come out of a difficult operation and was feeling exhausted. Despite his fatigue, he was happy to be spending time with his mother. Mom, I'm sorry it took longer than I anticipated. Have you had anything to eat? Jeff asked with concern, but Sonny was already done with the restaurant and signed back. Let's just go, son. I didn't like this place. Jeff was taking it back. Are you serious, Mom? This is one of my favorite restaurants. I come here all the time. He exclaimed, then smiled and said, You must have tried their new items. You should have ordered the double cheeseburger that I suggested. Actually, I couldn't even make an order. Sonia signed, feeling frustrated as they made their way to the car. Jeff, concerned for his mother's well-being, asked, "What do you mean by what happened?" Sonia hesitated for a moment before responding, "Do you promise you won't make a big deal out of it, son?" Knowing how protective he was of his mother, Jeff reassured her, "I promise I won't go crazy, Mom. Don't worry." After Sonia shared what had happened in the restaurant, Jeff was outraged but reminded himself of his promise. "Alright, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to go inside and talk to that person." "Okay, son," aside, and let Jeff go. She was grateful to have a son who would stand up for her, but she also hoped that he would handle the situation calmly and peacefully despite his promise to remain calm. Jeff entered the restaurant seething with anger. He wanted to punch the person who had mistreated his mother for no fault of her own. As he looked around, he saw that there were still a lot of people waiting in line, some of them staring at him as he walked past him. Jeff approached one of the workers and asked to speak with the manager. A few moments later, Tyler emerged from the back to speak with him. Tyler had a stern expression on his face, but Jeff did his best to remain calm and collected. When Tyler saw Jeff, his expression changed immediately. "Hey Jeff, long time no see." "Hey Tyler, I'm good. How's your arm doing?" Jeff asked. "It's much better. Thanks for asking. You did a great job with the surgery." Tyler replied that Tyler had been in a terrible car accident a few months ago, and Jeff was the one who did the initial surgery on him. "I'm just glad to see you're feeling better." Jeff said, "Thanks, but I owe it all to you." Tyler said gratefully, "I actually wanted to talk to you about something. My mom had an unpleasant experience with one of your coworkers earlier. Could you help me out?" Jeff asked, "Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that. What happened?" Tyler asked. Jeff requested that Tyler come outside so that his mom could explain what happened. Tyler, preoccupied with work, was unaware that it was the same deaf woman as they reached the table where Sonia was seated. Tyler realized it was her as Tyler caught Sonia's eye. He was at a loss for words and stood there in silence. "Mom met Jeff, he was one of my patients, and he recently got promoted to manager. Can you please explain what happened?" Jeff asked. Sonia looked at Jeff, her eyes showing a hint of anger. She took a deep breath and signed. "The guy who refused to serve me was your patient, the manager." Tyler. Jeff's expression immediately changed. He felt awkward realizing he had been having a friendly conversation with Tyler just moments ago without knowing he had mistreated his mother. "Jeff, I'm really sorry. I didn't know your mother," Tyler apologized. Jeff listened to him in silence. "I apologize, ma'am. Please let me take your order. I was a thoughtless jerk." Tyler said, breathing heavily, "I've been focusing on efficiency over customer care since I got promoted, and I've gone too far." Tyler was on the verge of tears. Sonia didn't say anything but looked at Tyler, tears streaming down her face, recalling how desperate she had felt an hour earlier. "I am just like everyone else, I just wanted something to eat. Please don't treat people like me this way." Sonia signed and Jeff interpreted. "Mrs. Carter, please forgive me. I am truly sorry. Let me get your water right away," Jeff said, rushing back into the restaurant shortly after Tyler returned to the table with a tray of food and another worker brought 2 ice creams. Tyler felt ashamed of how he had treated Sonia, especially after finding out that she was the mother of the doctor who saved his life. He wanted to make it right, so he made an announcement in the restaurant offering everyone a free ice cream as a way of making up for his behavior. Jeff and Sonia were enjoying their meal together with smiles on their faces, not needing to say much to each other as they were both content with the situation. Tyler came over to their table later and asked how they were doing and if there was anything else he could do for them. Sonia asked Jeff to translate it as she signed. "Thank you for owning up to your mistake. I truly appreciate your gesture." Tyler apologized once again and told Sonia that she could come by any time and that he would personally ensure that she received the best service. Sonia replied that she just wanted to be treated like everyone else and didn't need any special treatment. After the incident, Tyler had a conversation with his boss about what had happened to Sonia. Tyler's boss listened to his suggestions as Tyler was one of the best workers in the restaurant. Tyler proposed that the restaurant could train some of its employees to work with deaf people and learn sign language. He also suggested holding a special event where everyone who was deaf would be offered a free combo meal for a day. The boss considered Tyler's proposal for a moment and realized that it could not only be beneficial for the restaurant but also create a positive image for the company. The boss agreed and decided to implement Tyler's ideas. He appreciated Tyler's initiative and his willingness to make things right. The boss expressed satisfaction with the idea and was surprised by how quickly some of the workers learned sign language, including Tyler, on the day of the event. Tyler made a special effort to visit Sonia before the event began. He brought her a bouquet of flowers and invited her in sign language. Sonia was pleasantly surprised to see Tyler using her language, and her face lit up with a smile when they arrived at the event. Sonia was delighted to see a large gathering of deaf people, all excited to be there. They were chatting, laughing, and having a good time. Tyler made sure that everyone was taken care of and their needs were met. He even personally served Sonia and made sure that she was comfortable throughout the event as it came to a close. Sonia expressed her gratitude to Tyler for his efforts in organizing the event and making sure that everyone felt included. She thanked him for his thoughtful gesture and said that it was more than enough. Tyler was pleased to see the happy faces of everyone at the event, and he felt proud of himself for making a difference in their lives. The event was a great success, and it taught Tyler an important lesson about the power of taking responsibility for one's mistakes and making a genuine effort to correct them. It reminded him that even a small gesture of kindness can go a long way in making a difference in someone's life. What are your thoughts on the story? How would you handle things differently? Share your thoughts, as they may be helpful for those experiencing difficult times.